All right, bro. So I want to talk a bit about why you might be struggling to get lean right now. Okay. I've personally gone through this so many times with myself, right? And trying to get past that certain body fat percentage or trying to get down to the point where you're lean enough to actually have abs, right? And really, the struggle that a lot of us have and that you might be facing right now is if you're really having a hard time getting down and losing weight, is in reality, you can't not lose weight unless you are not staying consistent, okay? And you aren't tracking what you're actually doing. So usually those are the kind of the biggest problems. For me, what worked and what I found out worked the best was to actually stay consistent with what I said I was going to do and actually track that. So really, there's a few ways that you can go about this, okay? And a lot of people don't really talk about this. You know, there's a couple different ways to go about this. The first thing is, if you want to actually stay consistent, right? If you want to stay consistent, your environment is going to be key to you staying consistent. Because think about this. You know how many times you've been around family members or friends or whatever, and they're like, hey, let's go grab something to eat. Hey, let's go get a drink or whatever. And you're just kind of like, oh, yeah. Or maybe, your girlfriend or, you're over a friend's house or whatever, and they have like a bunch of food there, and that's going to throw you off your diet. That's going to throw you off of where you need to be, but you just can't really like stick to it, right? And that's really the biggest thing, is if your environment is not conducive, right, to your goals. And I always talk about this. If your environment isn't conducive to your goals, it's going to make it 10 times harder to get where you want to go. You might never even get there. So for me, what I figured out was it's really important to be in an environment where I'm not surrounded by a bunch of people who are kind of going up against my goals, right? And some people might say, oh, just use your willpower or whatever. But the thing is your willpower is limited, right? Your willpower is limited in terms of how many times you can say no and how many times you can constantly be rejecting things and saying no, 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 no. And a lot of people will say, yeah, just use your willpower, bro. You need to be stronger. But the reality is the environment is way more important, because why make it difficult on yourself, right? If you want to get lean and you're around a bunch of people who aren't helping you with that goal, or you're in an environment, say maybe it's even like a job or something, where like you're constantly have this option, to constantly say no to it is literally going to drain your brain points and your willpower, and then it's going to affect other areas of your life. So you want to make sure you're in an environment that's conducive to that, right? You want the people around you to understand what you're doing, and if they can support you, that's what you want, right? You want to be around people who support you, and you want to get away from people who don't support you or don't actually respect the fact that you're going through this transformation and you're trying to get lean. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, you really want to make sure that you're actually tracking everything, because like I just said, a lot of times you'll go out to eat, right? You'll maybe just have like one snack, right? As you start to get more lean, your body really gets like hungry and your brain plays tricks on you, right? And so you want to make sure you're actually tracking everything you're eating throughout the day. And you want to make sure you're actually tracking, how many steps you're taking every day and how much cardio and stuff you're getting in. Because at the end of the day, your brain will try to play tricks on you to basically get you to start eating more, so that you get back up to, the fat level that where it's, quote unquote comfortable, right? So you need to make sure you actually track everything. One of the apps that I really like for this is Chronometer, or I used to use MyFitnessPal, but I use Chronometer now because it's got like a lot of the micronutrients. But use Chronometer or MyFitnessPal, and if you do that, bro, essentially you just plug in or you scan. It's got a barcode scanner. You just scan the food that you're eating, right? And if it doesn't have that, you can just weigh it out real quick and just type it in, whatever it is. But if you do that, then you'll actually know roughly how much it is. Now, it's not going to be super accurate, right? The food labels aren't going to be super accurate in terms of the calories, but it'll give you a rough kind of ballpark of where you're at. And obviously this isn't something you're going to be able to get down to like a perfect science. But the point is, you want to make sure you're actually tracking everything. If you go out to eat, track that shit, right? I don't know. Some people bring a scale with them to the restaurant. I mean, a lot of places on the menu, it'll tell you how many calories it is. Just plug that in. And it's okay if you go over, just reduce the next day a little bit, right? So that's the main thing, is tracking, your environment, keeping you around people and places where it's not conducive. Because think about this, dude. Most Americans right now, I got to look at the stats, but most people are not lean, right? Most people eat very unhealthily and their habits suck. And so they're constantly like either overweight or just with all these health issues. So you're literally standing out. You're rising above the rest and becoming above average by becoming someone who's lean, right? Because that's a hard thing to do. And so that's why it's valuable. So you have to really take this seriously. You have to really want this. If you really want this, you need to stay consistent and you need to track everything. I know it's a pain in the ass. Like, tracking things is not the most fun thing that you can do, right? But you can kind of turn it into a bit of a game. You turn it into a bit of a game with yourself to see how consistent you can be. And you know certain metrics in terms of your calories and, in terms of your cardio and how many steps you're taking. If you hit those, you will lose weight. You can't not lose weight, bro. Like, the laws of thermodynamics are not just something that you can bend or that you're an exception to. If you think that you can just eat the right amount of calories and not lose weight, you're out of your mind, right? You're lying to yourself because you aren't properly tracking. There's always something. I want to give you a story. It was one time, maybe it was like a few months ago, or yeah, I think it was like 4 months ago when I was still in my cut and I was still really working on getting lean. It was hilarious because like I would literally, so I'd be like making tea, right? Because tea was a great way, like at the end of the night when I was hungry, just to kind of drink something that was like hot, and it would just kind of like, I don't know what it was, but it would just make me feel kind of full, right? And I would literally drink that, but guess what? Secretly, like literally my brain was like tricking me and like hijacking me into this, right? My brain literally was like taking over. I was putting like oat milk. Like I was putting oat milk in, okay, which was, that in and of itself was like 60 calories. And then on top of that, I was putting honey in as well. So I was putting two things in that I wasn't actually putting into my chronometer that added on like an extra 100 or 200 calories. So those kind of things where they just slip in, right? And you don't even think about it. That's the kind of shit that will set you off, especially if you're getting to like a really low level of body fat where you can like see abs clearly. Dude, you got to work for this shit. You really have to pay attention to what's going on. So just watch out for those kind of things. Watch out for your environment. Watch out for people around you who aren't really aware of what you're doing and what it takes, right? Be aware of that, because also another thing that they're going to do is they're going to be like, oh, dude, why are you so like hardcore? Like, stop being so like uptight about it, right? But the thing is they aren't on the same path as you. So this is why accountability is so key. Like, you need accountability. You need other people who are on the same track as you, who are, going towards that same goal. And so that you have that level of accountability. You have accountability and you have people to relate with and talk to during like the hard times, because, that was one of the major things that I was missing. And if I had that, I would have been able to speed up my journey way faster. So yeah, watch out for those people. Get like accountability. Get people who are on the same track as you, who are like-minded, right? Get people who are like-minded and who are actually on the same path and respecting the fact that you're trying to achieve something that's very difficult. Most people in the world can't even get to the level of having like abs, right? And that's something that is valuable because it's rare. It's not very common. It's a very difficult thing to do. So that's probably why you're struggling to get lean. You're not staying consistent. You're around the wrong type of people. You don't have accountability, and you're not really tracking things. So get Chronometer, get MyFitnessPal, start tracking that. Another bonus tip that I'll give you right now, a lot of people don't tell you this, is get a pedometer. Like, bro, what the heck? Get a pedometer, which is basically a pedometer is it tracks your steps. If you don't have like a watch that does it, like some type of watch or something, get on your phone, you can get an app, right? It's like the Samsung Health app, or if you got iPhone, just get one of the health apps that will literally track your steps so that you can keep track every day of how many steps you're getting. That is one of the huge breakthroughs that I had, was before I even knew that. Nobody was telling me that. Like, no one told me about how you needed to do that. And that's a huge part of how you're going to be able to go up and down in terms of your weight and everything. So just keep going at it, bro. You will get there eventually. You're going to get to the point where you can actually get lean. And when you do, it's literally a life-changing experience, because like, yeah, fitness is really important in terms of like our health and everything, but in terms of also just what it does to your mindset and your ability to persevere through hard times. Like, a lot of people underestimate what it takes. They'll be like, oh yeah, you're just like going to the gym. It's not a big deal, like whatever. But you're literally chiseling your body, right? You're carving like the body that you are envisioning out of nothing. And so essentially that is going to translate into every other area of your life, right? That's going to improve your ability in business, entrepreneurship, or in your career, right? Making more money. It's going to just improve your relationships, right? Being able to stay consistent, being able to stick to your word, being able to actually track things, right? And one of the biggest things is when you're actually building that physique and you get to that point, the level of self-confidence you have is insane, right? Like, I feel so much more confident in myself and my abilities after going through all these years of, lifting in the gym and working on my physique, because it gives you perspective on how much work it actually takes to get what you want. So that's all I'm going to say for this video. I just wanted to put this out here, in case you're struggling. These are some of the reasons. There's a ton of other things that could be happening, but these are some of the most common things that, I really struggled with on my journey. So that's basically it, bro. I will see you in the next video, and have a good night. Peace.